guys, I'm back again with another reaction video, and today we're reacting to could the US defend from an invasion of the homeland? Well, I'm gonna answer that question yes, because we reacted recently to the US military, something like that, right? And it was really very it's one of the if not the best in the world. Yeah, I think it is the best in the world. So no country is going like, let's take down freaking US. No country is. Probably some braggadocious countries, probably, but for this side of the world, nobody wants to touch that piece of ass. But anyways, guys, before we do start, did I say this? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button to get notified whenever I do upload a video. Anyways, guys, let's check this out.
It's the early 1980s, and over the sky of the American heartland, Soviet and Cuban paratroopers begin to fall from the sky. In minutes, thousands of communist invaders have gained a foothold in the very heart of America. With World War III in full swing, it's up to a band of plucky teenagers to fight a guerrilla war against the godless commies. If you grew up in the 80s or just plain don't have bad taste in movies, then you're well aware of the action hit Red Dawn, a film that portrays a Soviet invasion of the United States.
Oh, it's in the 90s. That's the problem.
No, we're not talking about the remake. We don't speak of the remake.
Actually, 90s.
But film aside,
amazing.
Could it really happen? That question was asked by infographic show fan Blazik, who wanted to know if someone were to invade America, could the U.S. pull all its forces home and hold out against a foreign invader? Despite what fiction like Red Dawn would have you believe, the United States was never in any danger of an invasion by the Soviet Union, mostly because the Russian people were about as interested in invading the U.S. as Americans were in invading the Soviet Union. Of course, that didn't stop politicians and military officials on both sides using the fear of an evil capitalist or communist invasion from ballooning defense budgets. The saddest fact of the Cold War just might be that despite all the preparations to defend from an invasion by both sides, neither NATO nor the Soviet bloc ever had a single war plan drawn up for an actual preemptive.
Oh my gosh, I hope that was back in the day still that we are talking about.
The invasion of the other's territory. But another major reason why the U.S. was never under any threat of an invasion is due to its unique place in the world geography. In order for an enemy to get to America, first it must cross two massive oceans. And this geographic fact makes the United States the single most secure nation on Earth. Even today, moving troops and equipment across the oceans is a massive undertaking in terms of both logistics and cost, and very few nations are even capable of attempting the feat. But let's say that the two leading
geographically it's gonna be hard
to join forces and team up against the United States. With all troops returned home from overseas, could the U.S. defend itself against a double-sided assault against it by China and Russia?
What if like a lot more countries, not only these two, will like surround the entire, not saying that we want to, will surround the entire U.S. or all countries will come and surround the entire U.S. Will we still, the rest of the world versus the USA, what will happen? Not encouraging anything, okay guys.
First, the two-power alliance would have to decide on where to strike. For an invasion to be successful, both nations would have to land troops as quickly as possible, and that would require the use of a working seaport. These ports would require good rail and road infrastructure, and must have deep water anchorages so that large cargo ships could dock and disgorge troops and heavy equipment. The need to take and hold major seaports is critical, as aside from a few token forces with a small number of fire support platforms, amphibious landings alone wouldn't be able to deliver firepower fast enough to secure a beachhead. In Normandy during World War II, the success of the landings was largely down to a brilliant deception played out by the Allies, which saw the Nazis concentrate their forces at the wrong landing site. And even when the real landings happened 100 miles away, Nazi commanders were so fooled by Allied intelligence that they ordered their forces to hold their position, believing that the real assault was coming their way any day. The ruse, combined with some whopping tactical blunders by Hitler, allowed the Allies to quickly build a makeshift port facility, which let Allied armor and artillery disembark. Had Hitler allowed his commanders to commit panzer reinforcements to the landings, Normandy would have likely ended as a complete catastrophe for the Allies. By the time he cleared reserve panzer units for the assault on the beachheads, Allied logistical units had already disembarked enough tanks to repel the assault. In an invasion of the U.S. homeland, such a ruse would be impossible to pull off. Long-range and satellite surveillance assets would see an invasion fleet days before it made landfall, and its target would be clearly
really
known
good
to the
that
American
their
defenders. Therefore, China and
technology
Russia would
is
have to
on
act
a
quickly and
freaking
decisively,
point.
taking major seaports and holding them long enough to disembark a sizable expeditionary force able to repel American counter-assaults. For China, the only good options for unloading main battle tanks and mechanized artillery would be the ports in LA, Long Beach, Oakland, Tacoma, and Seattle. The LA Long Beach complex would be especially attractive as it's one of the world's largest ports and would allow Chinese forces to disembark very quickly. Unfortunately, these port facilities are also very close to several American air and naval bases, making them easily defended. The Seattle and Tacoma ports, however, are far more vulnerable, as only 5 major American bases are near these facilities. Landing in
It
Washington
would be nice to live near a base, because if something goes south, well, it's disadvantage and advantage. I don't know.
Mean Chinese forces would have to fight south and into California through easily defended and very mountainous terrain. A tactical nightmare
Or maybe
for any Chinese
it would be
commanders.
nice to leave
Russian invaders would face an even less
near
enviable
Canada,
job.
so you can just
the
run to
American East
Canada.
Coast is home to far more numerous large port
Like, I mean,
facilities,
Canada, don't
giving the
touch
Russian
me.
invasion force a greater number of targets to pick from. Unfortunately, the American East Coast is also the most heavily defended, with several dozen major military installations spread out from north to south. The East Coast is also home to America's largest military shipyards, which would be so heavily protected, it would be suicidal to attempt a landing or assault against them.
Okay, yeah, like I said, it would be nice to live near the base then, because they are protected. But we don't know.
Russia's best bet would be to attempt a landing in Mobile, Alabama, or Houston, Texas.
Oh,
This,
we have
however,
an
would mean
ad.
Russian forces
Here we have this large pyramidal structure, and the witnesses, they can't.
Okay.
would have to spend more time out at sea and move into the Gulf of Mexico, where they would be surrounded on all sides but the south by major American air bases. For both our challengers, the tactical picture is not looking very good, as the United States simply has no viable
The
landing sites for a
animations is
major
killing me,
expeditionary
especially
force that couldn't be easily
when they
defended.
depict
China and Russia could opt to coerce or bribe
and
Mexico or Canada into allowing them to land at their facilities and launch an invasion into the U.S. itself. This would be by far the best strategic option for the invasion forces, but in response to the agreement between either nation and the Sino-Russian alliance, the United
I know this is not a laughing game, but that Trump is the nicest Trump I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, the real Trump himself cannot beat the beauty of this
forces,
Trump right
but in
here.
response to the
Still
agreement
ugly
between
though, but
either nation,
better than the real one. Look at his hair. It's like an ice cream shit on his head.
in the Sino-Russian alliance, the United States would immediately begin a large-scale bombing campaign against port facilities in Canada or Mexico, with every viable port being within easy reach of American bombers. Even before the invasion force crossed the ocean, they would be sailing for ports that have been turned into rubble. Assuming that the U.S. didn't use naval aviation, which it definitely would, the invaders could opt for using ports in South America, well out of reach of most American bombers, and then simply move north to invade through Mexico. Moving through South America's poor rail and road infrastructure, though, would be a nightmare for the invaders, allowing plenty of time for the U.S. to simply move blocking forces through Mexico to Panama, and then hold off the invasion there. If, miraculously, though the alliance did manage to land forces in Canada or Mexico, it would face a different tactical nightmare altogether. In Canada, the lack of suitable border crossings would force the invaders to spread out over a large area, or bottleneck and be subjected to endless attacks by American air power. In Mexico, military border crossings would be possible over a far larger area, but enemy forces would be moving through terrain that provided absolutely no cover. American air power would once more devastate any invaders trying to move through the flat terrain of the U.S.-Mexico border.
It's impossible.
Geography alone provides the United States with near invulnerability from enemy invasion, but the logistics of the world's militaries proves why the U.S. simply cannot be invaded. An invasion of the American homeland would rely on naval power to get the job done. And right off the bat, no nation on Earth, nor any combination of nations, has the firepower and logistical support needed to carry out such an invasion. The matter is one of historical necessity for the world. Ever since the end of the Second World War, all of the world's major powers have had no need to project military power far from their own shores, except for the United States.
Oh.
The Soviet Union was chiefly concerned with securing its European borders, and in the case of a Third World War, its most vital strategic objectives could all be reached over land. The vitally important oil fields of the Middle East could all be taken via land routes through Afghanistan and Iran, and no navy was needed to hold off NATO forces in Europe. The same was true for Europe's NATO members. While once their mighty navies ruled the waves all over the world, their concerns in the 20th century quickly became resisting a possible Soviet invasion, and for that, no major naval power was needed. In the Atlantic, the Soviets hoped to slow the American response with the use of submarines, but ultimately knew that they could never stop the US Navy, and thus never seriously tried.
Did you guys see the freaking fleets that they had? They have like amazing fleets. So it's for sure that it's impossible to attack such a country with a lot of machineries, and I don't even know what to call them anymore.
On the other side of the world, China struggles to turn itself into a first world power. And other than resentment towards Japan over its actions in World War II, China has had no real motivations to build a strong navy, at least until now. Much like the Soviet Union and Europe's NATO partners, though, China definitely had no real reason to build a heavy sea lift capability in order to move thousands of troops and heavy equipment across the ocean. On the other hand, the United States is both blessed and cursed by geography. While it's untouchable to invasion thanks to the Atlantic and the Pacific, it also means that in order to project power on the world stage, America has always needed a strong navy. This is the reason that the U.S. has always had a very strong naval tradition, and why it has invested in naval and air transport more than any other nation on Earth. If U.S. troops want to get somewhere, after all, they're certainly not walking there. To even get forces into the U.S., any invading army is going to need some serious sea lift capability, and no force on Earth comes even close to the U.S.'s 125-vessel military sea lift command, which operates a vast fleet of oilers, tankers, and heavy cargo transports.
And they're
even this fleet is not enough, according to
they're
some
building
analysts,
more.
And plans are being called for that include
based on the video we
the
reacted
capability
before,
of the U.S.'s
they're
military
investing
transport
in
fleets.
more and bigger.
China has in recent years expanded its landing ship capabilities, with several dozen available to carry troops and heavy equipment. These ships, though, are not meant
The
for...
problem with China, though, is the quality going to be as good as the US? Because, yeah, they can build whatever it is that they want, but the quality...
for global operations. They're only designed for cross-strait invasions into Taiwan, or to ferry supplies to China's illegal holdings in the artificial islands it built across the South China Sea.
That looks like a colorful
crippling lack of support vessels
dildo.
such as oilers means that China cannot physically get its landing ships across the Pacific, though even if this problem were to be solved, the nation cannot hope to make a contested landing on foreign soil. Again, this is because of China's lack of need for a global expeditionary military force. China's chief military concerns lie with a military invasion and forced repatriation of Taiwan, and thus it has not invested money into developing a true blue water navy. Russia has even less naval transport capability and support vessels, which again is a result of its military objectives being close to home. To compound the two nations' sea lift problems, both nations have no dedicated amphibious assault ships capable of providing close air support and air superiority to landing forces on a contested beach. By comparison, the U.S. operates 9 of these specialized vehicles, and they will soon be equipped with the F-35 stealth fighter. Projecting air power is in fact the biggest weakness for any nation hoping to invade the U.S., and China and Russia combined only operate 2 active-duty aircraft carriers of extremely limited capabilities.
Oh gosh.
Russia's infamous Admiral Kuznetsov very publicly had to be towed back to a friendly port after experiencing severe mechanical problems.
Oh no,
Without
that
adequate
cannot
air power,
run.
neither nation could expect to secure a foothold on the U.S. mainland.
I told you, the
America's Air
quality
Force
of
is
their...
twice as large as
whatever
both
you're
nations
called, I'm
combined,
gonna say
and its
fleets,
naval
okay?
aviation alone is as large
It's
as
not
Russia's
us.
total air power. If by some miracle either nation could get troops across the ocean to U.S. shores, the lack of air power would reduce the attempted landings to a suicide mission. In the end, not only could the U.S. protect from an invasion of the homeland, but it is currently and for the foreseeable future completely invulnerable to military invasion. Luckily, the U.S., China, and Russia have no desire to fight each other, and there exists no real reason to. Now that you've made it to the end of the video, why not keep learning about cool, awesome...
Okay, that would be very interesting to react to more of the infographic show. That was a really informative and very entertaining because of their beautiful animation. And when it comes to invasion, if it's this, like if somebody wants to invade the Philippines, I think we're gonna be running to our closest allies and trying to ask for help. I think that's the best we can do over here. We'll try our bestest, but for the most part, we're gonna be like, yo, America, do you have some like spare, change that we can actually use, or some spare hands that we can use, because we need help. That's how I see it. But anyways, I hope everything is gonna be hush hush and Gucci among everyone, But let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave in the comment section down below what other videos like to react to. The original link of this video will be in the description box down below, so it's my social media link. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.